first time we saw Wanderer, it was on Without Parole's very own April's PSVR AF showcase, and it seemed too good to be true. It showed off stunning visuals, a weird time manipulation mechanic, and, well, that's kind of it. Developers Oddboy and M-Theory have been relatively quiet as to what the moment-to-moment gameplay would be like, which left a lot of us slightly concerned as to what exactly we'd be doing in this game. Every trailer showed you on the moon, in some abandoned building, on stage at a music festival. It seemed like a game with a ton of ambition, but we had no idea whether this team had the chops to pull it off.
It may get a whole lot brighter if you can make it to my apartment in one piece.
Well, first and foremost, we need to address the Wanderer trailers we've been seeing for the last few months. They're stunning, and we obviously assumed that everything we were seeing was PC footage, and that we'd be taking a substantial hit in both detail and resolution on PSVR. Well, as it turns out, the footage in those trailers is on par with the PS4 Pro and PlayStation 5 versions of the game. In fact, the opening moments of Wanderer are some of the best looking environments you'll ever see on PSVR, with lush foliage, dilapidated buildings, and detailed character models, making you wonder, maybe just for a moment, if you'd walk around the corner and see Joel and Ellie fending off a horde of clickers. Not all the areas look quite this good, but the overall look of Wanderer is pretty remarkable.
Please remove obstruction.
While we're talking about aesthetics, it should be noted that the sound design is no slouch here either. Each area and big event you encounter sports its own soundtrack, or at the very least has convincing ambient noise, and it always comes off sounding extremely polished. Within the first few minutes of the game, you'll find your way to your grandfather's apartment, and in order to figure out who he was and what he was researching, along with some much loftier story arcs, you'll take up residence here, and it'll double as your home base for the rest of the game. There are a ton of puzzles to solve here just to get the power on and get everything up and running, and this is the moment it becomes extremely clear that Wanderer is an escape room in every sense of the word. Turning on the power isn't as simple as just finding a switch and flipping it. There's about 20 steps to the process, and every solution reveals yet another element of the puzzle you need to solve. But unlike something along the lines of, say, 18 Floors or even The Room VR, everything here kind of makes sense. For a game about time travel, a lot of the puzzle solutions are surprisingly grounded in reality. That doesn't mean the puzzles are easy, they're not. Over the course of my 12 plus hours with Wanderer, I was stuck frequently for long periods of time, just walking from one place to another, from one time period to another, wondering if I even had the right items to solve the puzzle I was stuck on. In essence, it's a pretty linear game that allows you to go way off the beaten path whenever you want, so sometimes it's hard to find your way back. Speaking of time travel, that's sort of the core of what you'll be doing in Wanderer. You'll frequently stumble upon items that the game calls fragments, and they're used to immediately travel from one time period to the next. You're able to jump back and forth between them at will with almost no loading, and it's always fascinating to see where the next one will take you. The real mystery, though, is how the items you find in one time period can be used somewhere else, which means that you'll be trying to take almost anything of interest back with you and store it at your uncle's apartment in case you need it. And given the limited number of slots in your personal inventory, you're pretty much guaranteed to make a total mess of the place. There's stuff on my bed, stuff on my couch, on the shelves, on the floor, which I actually find to be really cool, but at the same time extremely stressful. If you happen to drop an item in one time period and forget where it was, you could easily be looking for it for an hour trying to figure out where you put it down.
Huh. Any ideas for what we could use to shoot down them bottles?
Luckily, you're not totally alone through all of this. Your watch Samuel is a technical marvel. He holds your items, keeps track of where you are, and he can be popped off your wrist to help you with puzzles. He does talk a lot, but generally when he has something to say, it's worth taking a minute to listen, just in case he has some words of wisdom. And if you're a fan of collectibles, well, there's a lot of those here too. There are glowing shards and seemingly irrelevant items hidden everywhere that allow you to upgrade your inventory slots and customize Samuel's appearance. There's a ton of moments in Wanderer that'll make you think it's one of PlayStation VR's best games, and it might be. I'm in love with the concept, the overall look, the creative puzzles, and most of the execution, but a few problems do get in the way of an otherwise excellent game. The controls are fine overall with options for full locomotion, smooth turning, and of course teleportation and click turning, but there are points when you're forced to use teleportation to jump from one place to another, which isn't a deal breaker, but definitely kills the immersion. There's also no crouch button. Wanderer keeps this from being an issue by allowing you to interact with items beyond your normal reach, but it still seems like a strange omission. Controls aside, you're likely to experience more than a few technical problems throughout the course of your adventure. AJ and I both had to start entire chapters over after either a crash or experiencing random bugs, and it's definitely a little frustrating when you're looking for a particular item that you know you had, and when it goes missing, you're not sure if you lost it or the game lost it. There have already been 2 major patches before launch though, and after talking to the team, it does seem like they're fully aware of the problems and are working to correct them as soon as possible. After spending the last few days playing Wanderer, it quickly became obvious why the developers at Oddboy and M-Theory didn't reveal a whole lot about their game leading up to launch. It's visually stunning with graphics and environments that absolutely shine on PSVR, with thoughtful puzzles, a well-told story, and a ton of variety thrown at you the whole time. And they didn't want to spoil any of that for you. It is a little slow-paced, but your patience is always rewarded with surprises around every turn. So, if you're patient and you love escape rooms, then get ready, because PlayStation VR has a new must-have game with your name written all over it.
Damn! Great timing! The boat won't start! Hang on to your tighty-whities, kid. I'll fix the boat. Cover me from those oversized handbags. We take too much of a beating from them and we're sunk. Wonderful. Here they come. Bullseye, kid! Good shot! See you later, alligator. We need an exit strategy. Here, take this crowbar and crack open that old emergency kit. Gotta be something in there we can use. Oh, flare gun. Time to use it, I guess.